Gosford Park was an incredible film to be part of. The ensemble was absolutely extraordinary. Some of the actors in there, Robert Altman couldn't have been kinder. So I was incredibly lucky to have the opportunity to work for him. I had a brilliant agent, and I had just done the remake of the Murder of the Orient Express, and he asked me to come down from Leeds where we were filming, and I went to see him and I talked to him. I was fully prepared with about 2 soliloquies, which thank goodness I didn't need, and he talked to me for about an hour and a half, and I think from that I had seen The Player. I grew up with my father watching MASH, so I knew of him and I'd seen some of his work. Never at the times that I think I'd be working with him, and so I was absolutely thrilled to have that opportunity, especially then when I trained as a ballet dancer. When people say to me, how was it working with Robert Altman? How did he work? It was he used his hands, was like a choreographer explaining a dance. So it was an original way of working, and it was always very fresh, and it never became stale. And you always had to be incredibly aware of where other people were going when you had the 12 people in the room doing their own thing. And so it was really great fun, and we always look forward to our days on set. And everyone was it was an ensemble piece, so everybody was very friendly, and it was a very unique experience in that way. We were mic'd up all the time, so even though the camera wasn't pointing at us, we didn't know whether our voices were going to be used or not in that scene. So the whole time, when the camera to improvise and become your character. Julian Fellowes, I hadn't heard of before. Certainly everybody has now. And he was on set. He was by Robert's side the whole time throughout the filming. And Robert would change quite a lot of the dialogue. And Julian was always there to make sure the dialogue fitted that era. We were improvising most of the time, so you always had to be really on your toes. You never knew what one character was going to say, what they were going to change, what they were going to bring into the story. And there was one evening when we were at a dinner table and Robert Altman came up and he said, "Right, Natasha, you know all about the dukes and the ladies and the earls and which ranking it is." And I thought, no, I don't. And then Julian came over and rattled off this long line of who's above who and who's underneath who. And then I had to do a monologue, I think it was to Maggie Smith, about my aunt and uncle. And I played a character that had lost all our wealth, myself and Tom Hollander. So that's how we incorporated it all into the speech. But it was pretty nerve-wracking. You had to do a lot of research, or at least I felt I had to, for the film, and the era, how one spoke at that day and age, what slang, of course, you wouldn't be using if you're improvising in conversation. There were lots of subplots and lots of twists and turns in the film, which I think was brilliant because it keep people twists and turns to the film, which I think kept everybody on their toes. And Robert Altman did say to us at the beginning of filming, he said, "I want everybody to come on set with something unexpected and that nobody else knows about them. But you can bring a prop if you want. But you have to." Everybody did come up with something slightly unexpected, and it just added to their character, and none of us knew who was going to have what wrong with them. Or in the fainting scene I had, actually that worked brilliantly because I'd already made up my mind what was going on with me, which no one knew about, which was I was pregnant. Bob Balaban, who is the producer and one of the actors in the cast, he was brilliant because he was very low-key as a producer. You didn't feel you were acting with a producer on set. He is such a brilliant actor, and he would slip in and out of his role effortlessly and had such a great sense of humour that I think I actually learned a lot from him during it, as I did with a lot of the cast. I remember sitting there on the first morning, and we were all in the drawing room just about to do a scene, and looking around at these brilliant actors and feeling so... Actually, I really did feel honoured to be working with the calibre of actor that was in that room. It was fantastic for me, because this was my third job, and I never expected for that to happen so quickly. Richard E. Grant had worked with Robert Altman before on The Player, and he has a terrific sense of humour, as much on set as off set, so it was fantastic that he was involved with Gosford Park, and he was brilliant. It did turn out to be one of Alan Bates' final films, and I think you're probably not supposed to have favourites, but I think of everybody there, he was definitely my favourite. He was so kind and supportive to the actors who... there was a couple of actors that hadn't been in films before, and there was no ego to him whatsoever. And it was also effortless for him, and it was a real masterclass to watch him acting.